Avatar: Fire and Ashes, directed by James Cameron, and stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, and Stephen Lang. Jake Sully lives with his newfound family formed on the extrasolar moon Pandora. Once a familiar threat returns to finish what was previously started, Jake must work with Neytiri and the army of the Na'vi raised to protect their home. I really enjoyed the first Avatar. It's not a perfect film. The story is a bit too simple and not all the characters completely worked, but the action was great. The visuals were fantastic. The direction by James Cameron was extraordinary. Overall, Avatar was still a really good movie that I've always had a ton of fun with despite its problems. So I was very excited to see the second film, but it took over a decade for the second movie to come out, and throughout that period of time, I remember people starting to critique Avatar deeply. People saying it's not a good movie at all, that it was overrated, that no one cares about Avatar. Remember the names of the characters or the Na'vi. You cannot tell. This movie has no cultural relevance. No one is going to watch the second movie. It's going to be a bomb. And no one cares about the Avatar franchise. It doesn't have any memorable quotes. No one cares about the CGI. This movie is going to bomb. Avatar 2 is a certified failure. It cannot wait to see James Cameron fall flat on his face. Oh wait. Can I take back some of what I said? Yeah, when the second film came out, it once again blew everyone's expectations out of the water. Maybe not in terms of the quality of the film, but the overall amount of money it made back in 2022 was shocking, to say the least. In fact, I thought the movie was going to at least make around a straight billion, not another 2 billion. Something like around where the current movie Fire and Ashes making was like my ballpark. So the fact that the Avatar franchise had that much momentum, despite people saying no one cares about it, clearly it does have some sort of cultural relevance. And that's another discussion for like another day. How is the film itself? Despite the amount of money it made, the long wait, was it all worth it? I think in my opinion, if you are a fan of the first film, you're going to feel like you had a really good time with this one as well, like around the same amount of fun. It has some elements that are better than the first movie, but I can name a handful of elements that are also not as good as the first film. And to just start off with those, I have to say that the children characters here, the one that we're introduced to, apart from the Sigourney Weaver girl, who we learn a lot about being the child of her mother, played by Sigourney Weaver in the first movie, her role in the story and how she came to be and her relationship with Eywa was pretty interesting to watch. But as for everyone else, the brothers, like we got the older brother who is wise and trying to help his younger siblings throughout their time and be there for them, and you could tell that he is going to be a character that's going to die and hold a lot of emotional weight for everyone else. That's his role, and he works in that regard, but doesn't have much personality outside of that. In terms of the other siblings, one of them is just a cute younger sibling. The other one forms a relationship with a whale, and that's pretty fun to watch at times, especially with the novelty of the VFX that are being used to create these underwater sequences. It's really fun to watch, but overall, on a story standpoint, it does feel really basic and something that we have seen before in other movies. Just done a lot more visually well here. And the character of Spider is a very conflicting character as he switches sides often. And while you could probably contribute that to him being a confused kid, being tugged by 2 different factions, at times it does start to be very unclear as to which side he starts to fall on. and sometimes his turns towards a different position in the conflict of the story feels out of nowhere, and like we missed parts of the film that were trying to build his character. And sometimes he just makes very annoying decisions. He's probably my least favorite aspect of this entire film. Not that the actor playing him did a bad job, but he was probably the most egregious case of the writers not having any idea of what they wanted to do for this character. In terms of everything else that I did not really like, I think the overall length of the film could have been trimmed down a little bit, especially in the second act of the film. There's a lot of portions here where the characters are just walking around exploring, and while that is stuff that is very exciting and interesting to see, exploring this new water tribe, I feel like you could have trimmed a lot of it and made the runtime and pacing flow a lot better, because at times in this second act it can feel like it's dragging on and that you get the point. Maybe like a quick montage maybe could have sufficed, but not this length. I feel like the second act could have been trimmed down, focus a lot more on Jake Sully and Neytiri, because it is these characters, the characters from the first film, that I thought were done a lot better here. Jake Sully is a character that has grown a lot and has become more of a father figure, and he brings a more military point of view to things and way of fighting compared to everyone else in Pandora. And seeing that conflict and him trying to be a father, trying to be there for his children and explore all these new factions of Pandora is always fun to see. In fact, I think his personality being like this, and that being sort of a wedge in the film in terms of him still trying to get along with other people and other tribes in Pandora, I think it is really fun to watch. Neytiri, I think while she is fun in the action sequences, she's pretty good. In terms of like the old characters coming back, I feel the same way for her. In fact, maybe like a little, I like her a little less here in this film, because not much outside of what happens in the end of the film affected her character a whole lot. Obviously, the overall conflict of the film is affecting everyone. But as a character herself, she feels like she's going through the motions with Jake, and she sometimes fades away in the background a lot, which is a bit disappointing. As for Quaritch, he is a character that I thought was greatly improved upon from the previous film. His relationship to Spider and how he's trying to learn to be a father to him and trying to be there for him, because he shows signs of him caring for this kid, is really interesting to see, especially considering that he was kind of one note in the first film. It's nice that this film was able to give him a bit more layers to his character while still retaining a lot of his fun attitude and that fun performance that Stephen Lang was able to give in the first film. He's a lot more layered here, it's a lot more interesting. His conflict with Jake Sully due to Spider's existence is a lot more of an engaging conflict here to see. Overall, I really liked what they did with Miles Quaritch here, especially how they brought him back. It is very sci-fi, it is very weird, but it fits right at home with this franchise. Starting with the visual effects also, I no words to describe it, just wow. The visual effects here are absolutely mind-blowing, especially when you talk about the water effects and how they're done, and how James Cameron was able to make new technology, new cameras, new underwater equipment, and motion capture underwater. How he's able to do all that was just mind-blowing. The results speak for themselves. Like, these characters look like they're actually swimming underwater as Na'vi. aliens, and it is just astounding. The production and art design of this film is also beautiful. The way James Cameron was able to capture this water tribe and all the battle sequences in the water, just absolutely mind-blowing. In fact, the action once again is absolutely staggering. Like, the scope of the battles, the way the characters move around, especially when it starts getting a lot more darker. Some by the end, like, there's a lot more darker sequences. There's a lot more fire, things burning down, compared to the first film where everything was done in broad daylight. I like how the movie was able to use a lot more color and lighting to signify the battle growing from a much more hopeful start to much darker and personal battle by the end, and it was a lot more engaging in my opinion than the first film and how it shot its battle. Not that the battles in the first film weren't fantastic, they were. All the battle sequences here in the second film were just a lot more interesting and engaging to watch and a lot more exciting. Not to, again, just to keep mentioning the fact that the visual effects were absolute perfection all around, even better than the first film. Overall, Avatar, Fire and Ash, these are like the elements I think were better or a little worse. And there's some characters here and elements I think were just about the same. But to me, everything levels around to still a really good time. I think I like it a little less in terms of the entertainment value, but in terms of the story, I think it is a lot more engaging and interesting of a story than the first film. I just feel like the pacing here was just too dragged around the middle of the film. Where I felt like the first film, depending on which version you watch, has a lot better pacing and getting you engaged with the world of Pandora slowly, and then you get to the exciting stuff in the later half. Overall, this is still a really good time, and if you're a big Avatar fan, definitely recommend it still. And if you are not an Avatar fan, this is not going to change your mind, guys. I'm sorry to say that. I'm going to give Avatar: The Way of Water an A-. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.